In the Commons today, MPs from all sides gathered to unite in support for keeping these pits open. And UK Coal, though, they say the pit's closure is inevitable. Joe Inwood reports on another difficult day for these coalfield communities.
As the first shift arrived at Kellingley Colliery this morning, there was a sense of disbelief and despair.
Everybody's gutted. I mean, the lads are trying the hardest they can underground, but you know, without money and everything, it's over, innit?
Nearly 48-year-old, been here 32 years. There's no jobs out there for us whatsoever, is there? And there's coal here and energy crisis as it is. I'm sure that we could mine on a long time.
It's not good news. It's not good news at all. All we can do now is hope that some kind of miracle does happen.
And for a while, it seemed this promise from the Prime Minister could answer that call.
Yes, we will do everything we can. We're talking to the company, we're talking to other businesses related to this company. We'll do everything we can to help them. There are obviously limits. This is taxpayers' money that would have to be involved, but we will work with them as closely as we can. I'm in the business of trying to save jobs, of making sure we have diverse supplies of energy. So if we can help, we will help.
But despite that, it's unlikely any government help will prevent the pit closing or avoid the loss of hundreds of jobs. But of course, a mining community like this isn't limited just to the people that work at the pit. And there are concerns that hundreds of job losses here will be felt for miles around. From garages to the local chippy.
I actually do orders for UK Coal, maybe 2 and 3 times a week. And they're pretty big orders, so you know what I mean. It's something that I'm going to have to, take on chin. Losing their business, and it's a sad day, a very sad day.
As the shift comes to an end, the miners know they are witnessing the end of an era. The question for Kellingley is no longer, does mining have a future? But when will it become a thing of the past? Joe Inwood, BBC Look North, Kellingley Colliery.
During that time, nearly 60,000 drivers have been fined. Motorists have been fined more than £1.3 million. It's generated £700,000 for the council. But today's ruling throws the whole trial into question. Well, our reporter Joe Inwood is at Lendal Bridge for us tonight. Joe.
Thanks, Charlotte. Yes, well, at this time of night, any vehicle is allowed to pass over Lendal Bridge, but during the day, if a car violates what the council says has been a bus lane, they'd be hit with a £60 fine. Well, this report today from the government's independent adjudicator said there are so many exemptions and caveats to the bus lane that it's not one at all. And because it's not a bus lane, the council actually has no legal right to enforce the penalty charge notices it's been handing out. The report was also highly critical of much of the signage, especially around the start of the scheme and the way that many of the appeals against the fines have been handled, saying it is a lottery. So as you say, all in all, pretty embarrassing for York City Council.
But Look North has been told that South Asian girls are also being targeted. Joe Inwood went to meet one girl who was subjected to appalling abuse.
They told me they'd look after me. They gave me food, but it was laced with drugs. I was introduced to more people I didn't know, who were much older. I was made to do things with them that I didn't want to do. I woke up with someone on top of me. I was told they videoed it, and they would send it to my parents.
In some ways, Zara's is a story that has been heard many times. High-profile cases in Keighley, in Rotherham, most recently in Oxford. The abuse of young girls by gangs of often Pakistani men have created headlines, led to a parliamentary inquiry, stoked racial tensions, with right-wing groups accusing the gangs of targeting white girls. But Zara doesn't fit the usual model. She's Asian and she's a Muslim.
It isn't just happening to white girls, it's happening to vulnerable girls of all races and backgrounds.
And that is something support groups echo, with the abuse of South Asian girls often going under the radar.
I think the problem is much bigger than any of us really understand or know. Trouble is, we don't actually have national statistics. We don't know how big the problem is.
Allahu Akbar.
But today, could we be seeing part of the solution? Nationwide sermons condemning all grooming, including of South Asian girls.
One of the reasons that girls of South Asian background don't come forward and talk about the sexual abuse that they're experiencing is because of honour-based issues. And so as a result of that, they keep quiet about it, and there's a wall of silence when it comes to their particular abuse.
They say it's just white girls that have these things done to them, and it's because of the way they act. But that's not true. I've witnessed it to this day. I think it's as much of a problem now as it ever was.
Zara says the abuse she suffered will always leave a mark on her life, but that it will not define it. Joe Inwood, BBC Look North.
It was one of the most decisive moments of the Second World War. 150,000 Allied troops storming the beaches of Normandy, but D-Day, of course, came at a terrible cost.
9,000 fell in the initial fighting, and this weekend they were remembered on one of the French beaches where they died. Joe Inwood was there to see a unique project by artists from Yorkshire honouring the fallen.
I don't think anybody who sees it will be under any illusion of what happened on that day.
And so people came not just from France and Britain, but all across Europe, right around the world, to take part in something global, something representing peace, and to create something spectacular.
We very quietly made a very big statement, and it's there right before you, because that's about 9,000 people. And I was kind of holding it together, and then a plane flew past and did a little flyby, which we didn't know about, and that kind of just broke me.
It's quite emotional because I've done my 6 soldiers from the Warriors 6 on the beach down there, and I've named them all, and I'm just waiting for the water to come and wash them away.
And you think of their ages, under 22, 23, they had no life. But let's hope to God it never happens again. It mustn't happen again.
And that was the message of this work. 9,000 figures representing 9,000 lives. Fleeting, precious, and as quickly as they'd appeared, lost to the waves. Joe Inwood, BBC Look North, Arromanches.